Anger, upset, protest, lashing out, being emotional, all of the above. You know how it goes down. You have a conversation with somebody and suddenly they seem to act out with a certain behavior, all in the name of some kind of emotional protest that's going on. We're not talking about protests out on a street where there's a million people. We're talking about that little tiny protest in your situation with them. And it shows up as behavior. So today's episode is, what if your overreaction is actually a protest that you've never learned to understand? And I am Mario Leone. Welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. I am your host. Feel free to click on the link below to go to the Patreon in order to grow with me on this channel, and we can actually grow the channel together. So I think a lot of people think that conflict just starts when a person gets emotional. Like, that's where it happens, right? But what if we understood it a little bit differently? What if we took a different point of view and started to understand that emotion is not the very starting line of the actual issue? It's not the starting line of the problem, but it could be, just could be, the actual response, because they are not being heard. They're not being heard. Now, this could go back to childhood, where maybe when they tried to speak, they were shut down a lot as a child, and they remember that. And they don't like that. And now here they are. As an adult, an argument occurs, they start shutting down. There's no over-explaining. They shut down or they walk away. And it's not the kind of thing that is just going to happen randomly as a one-off for you. It's a pattern. You are a pattern. It's not that you have patterns. You are a pattern. And underneath it is a lot of stuff going down. But there's an idea. It's called protest behavior. With protest behavior, it's real simple. It's what they do when they don't feel emotionally safe. It's what they do when they don't feel that they could actually express themselves. But sometimes they have to be able to care enough to actually stay engaged in the whole entire conversation. But they may not want to. Maybe they're emotionally triggered and that protest behavior starts to show. And it's not a traumatic thing. It does not happen in dramatic ways. It happens very subtle, very subtle. So when you're repeating your point over and over again, and you actually feel like the other person is not hearing you, or your tone gets sharper when you feel you're ignored in some way, shape, or form, or you're going quiet just to see if the other person would actually somehow be able to recognize that, or you pull away, you back off because you have to regain some sort of control over the conversation. Or you say, I don't care, whatever, the old whatever, right? Just throw down the whatever. They don't care when they actually do care a lot. I think it's very important for us to understand that this protest behavior that goes down is not always about winning the argument like people think it is. A lot of times it could just be people trying to restore and reconnect with you, to connect and convey something together. And if you feel that that's falling apart, well, guess what? There's going to be misunderstandings. It happens. So what happens right before the protest actually occurs? The protest behavior actually happens. What happens right before that? Well, there's a little spot where there's just a disconnection between you and them. It's not always reality, though. It's actually a perception. You might perceive that it's that way. You might start to look at things like, oh, they didn't hear me. They didn't hear what I said. So you repeat yourself over and over again. Or they're being dismissive with what I said. I'm not being taken seriously. That's another thing you might say in your own head. But your nervous system is telling a completely different story. Your nervous system doesn't look at that as a neutral idea, a neutral thing, something that's just a one-off neutral idea. It processes it as a threat to the level of connection that you have with the other person. That's what goes down. So instead of actually opening your mouth and saying, I feel unheard right now, then what happens is you get louder. You get short with people, start to yell. Or opposite, completely withdrawal, total withdrawal emotionally. Or you repeat the same line over and over again. And it's not because someone is being irrational, but you're trying to get a response from someone who's actually being completely empty and absent. So this protest behavior, all it does is actually escalate. That's all it does. It doesn't resolve anything. Doesn't always resolve. Like, fights can be productive when two people come to an understanding. They can. But the problem is not the behavior itself. The problem is the actual interpretation of it. Perception is not reality. The interpretation of perception is reality. So one person will see that protesting behavior and they'll say, you're difficult. You're being difficult. The other person thinks, no, I'm not being heard, so I have to push harder. I have to shove my point down your throat, and that's what happened. So both people start to escalate it and throw gasoline on the fire for both of you for different reasons in mind. So it's no longer a conversation anymore about the original issue. It's gone off track, the tone is way off, and now it's all about attitude, timing, and respect. That's where everything communication-wise gets lost and buried in the ocean of emotion. It's lost its way. The conversation has shit the bed. It's gone off track. So if you handle it correctly when you're handling communication, you don't fight protest behavior with correcting them. But you do make it very clear when you speak, I hear you, I understand you. Let's make sure that I'm getting this right. Straightforward. Not, I am not ignoring you, I'm just processing what you said, right? Not like that. Not in that way. Convey that I'm listening to you. I hear you. Give me a second. I want to be able to respond to exactly what I'm saying. That's what it's about. Because that protest behavior, it doesn't just calm down from you fighting with it more. It doesn't work that way. But it does relax when you start to recognize it. It does relax. And by the way, when people are agitated, they will speak quickly. Their speech speeds up. When you start to slow that down, the prefrontal cortex is in the driver's seat. Things start to chill out, and you're able to have some safety throughout the conversation. So it does indeed calm down by you recognizing it, but it also calms down from you slowing it down. That's the beauty of it. So it's when two people start to understand each other again. And when that happens, when you come to a mutual understanding, it's bridging that gap, that space, that problem that you had with them. So I think a lot of people think that communication is just all about words all the time. It's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of emotion sometimes. And protest behavior is nothing more than just a message. It's not of disrespect. It's not of immaturity. Not all the time is it immaturity. Can be, but not all the time. Can't generalize. But sometimes it can be a person that is trying to speak and it's coming across in a way where it's not making sense. And they say, I still care about this topic. You are not hearing me right now. So that's where the protest behavior actually comes. So when you actually slow down and say, you know what, let's take a moment. Let's start over for a second. And you can ask the person, do you want to work this out together? Is this something that we can connect on and work through right now? And if they say yes, great. Let's take a step back and slow down. If they're resistant and they say, I don't want to work this out. Okay, great. Do an about face, get up and leave. Because if they're unwilling to hear anything, then it should stop right there. You have to be able to kind of have the boundary and say, I'm going to excuse myself from the conversation. That's it. That's all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed this particular episode. Don't forget to click the Podbean link below in order to visit the Patreon, because we can grow together in this channel. And of course, your support is appreciated. Have a great day. Take care.